My name is Ken Husar. I've never been this humbled by anything in my life. So put that away, that's not going to work. At pretty much every public speaking event, somebody says the beginning of their speech is an honor. After a while, you watch enough politicians talk on TV and things like that, and it feels like canned language. Today's not canned language. Everybody who's been up here, it's a huge honor. There aren't words. I met Ty in the academy about 10 years ago, BA 28. Starting the academy is uncomfortable. You don't know anyone, you got people yelling at you. You don't know where anything is, but somehow you got 5 minutes to change your clothes and get there. It's a lot to take in. You look around, you kind of think to yourself, this is gonna be a long year. About a weekend, we're in the locker room after a long day. I seen Ty, he seemed cool, calm, reserved, like he'd been here before. Kind of not his first rodeo. Figured I'll go pull in with this guy, see what he's about. We're both on the older side. I was pushing 30, he was a little over. So I asked him, hey, you got any kids, you married? He said, yeah. I said, all right, cool, me too. What do you do for work? He said, I do electrical. I said, I do electrical. But I said, all right, what company you work with? And he went on to explain, it's kind of a small thing, it's a family business. I mostly do electrical with my dad. And I looked at him, I said, I work in a small family business. I do electrical, and I work with my dad. So what are the odds, right? We started talking shop. I talked about the job I just got done with, living at an Air Force base for the last year, doing government contracting for the Air Force. And he told me I was in the Air Force. And we started talking about the differences between civilian life, being pampered and taken care of, versus enlisted. My eyes got real big, and I said to him just like this, did we just become best friends? If you know Step Brothers, you know the reference. I was expecting, yup. Instead, he squinted his eyes real little and cocked his head kind of sideways and pushed his face out at me. And he said, kind of like a half smile, I said, what are you talking about? It was super awkward, I've never forgotten it. His expression and the way he said it, it's always stuck with me. It was funny. And in the last week, there's been a lot of pain, but I reflect on that, and it's like it was yesterday. And it's brought me a lot of smiles. Over the next 11 months, we got to know each other real well. Talked a lot, traded a lot of stories. It turns out we both grew up in blue-collar, conservative homes with Christian values. We would tell stories about growing up in different types of jobs we did in the construction world. I mean, it's the academy, you do that with lots of new people, you meet a lot of new people, you tell stories. But when I was hearing his stories, it was different. It's like I was hearing my stories come out of somebody else's mouth. Reckless stuff with his brother and sister. I did reckless stuff. We had the same stories. It was uncanny. He talked about his dad, and working with his dad. And he always spoke with love, respect, and admiration. I felt the same way about my dad. I felt like I knew this guy my whole life and his family, even though I never met him. It was pretty awesome. And while we were in the academy, Ty was awesome. Everybody who was in an academy remembers you had somebody there who made it suck less. He was always positive, enthusiastic about everything. He seemed excited about doing stuff nobody should be happy about. By the end of the academy, I figured I had a buddy for life, and he was one of those guys that I know a lot of people felt the same way. That's just who he was. He was liked and respected by everybody. Fast forward to the end, we're graduating. He got surprised that night by Citrus Heights with a shiny new badge. I never seen a happier person. I was excited for him. And even though we were relatively new friends, I was proud of him. Despite his excitement for the journey that lay before him, the next chapter, and reflecting on what we had just accomplished, he tracked me down in the crowd. I didn't have a job offer yet. And he took me to the Citrus Heights guy, and he tried to pitch and get me a job too. In that moment, he took a step away from his big moment with his family to come help me out. And that's a pattern we've heard from the rest of the people who've been talking tonight. That's just the kind of guy who he was. He's a good dude. And from what I've heard from folks that worked with him in other agencies prior to tonight, he didn't slow down after the academy. And it's fitting he ended up a motor. I mean, he was a motor. I made fun of him for his scooter, but anyone who ever tried to run with him, keep up with him, you recognize that he had a giant motor and gas tank. It was either that or he couldn't feel pain in his legs. I think part of it was just that hardworking blue-collar upbringing. He was just a grinder. He's a hard worker. A couple years ago, we lost our academy friend, Brian Ishmael. I wasn't doing great with it. He was my locker buddy. I was struggling, and I did like most people usually do. Guys like us, we bottle it up and shove it way deep down inside and hope it goes away on its own. It was working all right, but not that good. I didn't talk to anybody about it, but out of the blue, Ty showed up on cue. It's like he knew I needed a hand, and he helped me out until I was good. We had a lot of conversations, and we saw each other more for a while. And we talked about Ish, life, death, our kids, our families, and we talked a lot about God. During these conversations, we addressed the big what if. What if I died doing this? What if you do? And we talked about things we did and didn't like about cop funerals, what we wanted our funerals to be like, all kinds of other things. I'm gonna get into that a little bit. But first, I gotta circle back to our graduation night again. I did a speech. Anyone who was there remembers, I'm sure. I droned on for a little good while. It was a long time. I remember looking out over the crowd like this, and I saw expressions of physical pain. The academy's here, you guys remember. Now, Ty and I were half joking at the time, but he told me if he died and I did somehow end up talking at his funeral, one, keep it short and get to the point. This is me trying. I explained his country self. I use different words, I'll use self today. His country self lacked culture. That's why he was able to appreciate my talent. Two, apologize for putting people through that. I'm sorry. Tell BA28 thanks. Guys, Ty says thanks. Write broken taillight tickets in his honor. I'm not a fan of taillight tickets. I've never written a taillight ticket in my career. I'm going to, and I'm not going to like it. In these conversations, I'm compressing a lot of information into a couple paragraphs. Some of the thoughts are mine, some are his, but we never disagreed about them. We compared dying on a job site versus on duty. There's no comparison, right? We get bagpipes, helicopters, metric tons of polished brass and core frame. It's awesome. It's your chance to make a final lasting impression that can help guide your kids even though you're gone. A lot of the things that he would want said have been said. But I'm gonna steer a little bit off. This is my final impression. He was one of the best guys ever. He was sincere and always maintained a sense of humility. He would do anything for anyone. He would give away what was his without hesitation, and he was happy about it. However, if you crossed the line, he would knock you back in your place. He was one of the guys you want if you're going into a fight. If there's air in his lungs, he wasn't going to let you down. Don't mistake kindness for weakness. He was a man who, if you had anything to do with, you're proud of. His parents, siblings, wife and kids, be proud of your dad. Son, dad, and brother. In our conversations, we both agreed, this is mostly for the kids, hard work wins. God favors the backbone over the wishbone. He'll give you all the tools you need, but you got to swing your hammer. If you can't pick up your arm to swing the hammer, ask for help, and the hammer will go. He's there for you. He kept his nose at the grindstone, diligently did God's work every day. If you're a Christian, be proud and take notes. He did it right. None of us are worthy. That's a given. But he gave it his best shot every day. He fought the good fight and he stayed the course. Maybe God recruits the best of us when he needs someone for something really important. We'll all miss Ty, and I'm forever grateful for the privilege of getting to walk side by side with a man of his caliber. I don't have any doubts about where he is right now. Ty, I thank you, brother. We'll see you on the other side.